Hey folks, thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of YOML. Today we are doing Reflection 227. This is the book that started all this journey that we have, and this is actually part two of two. So, what can we learn from this great book that is the genesis of everything?
Yeah. This was the start of your magical learning. Was book one was The Alchemist, right? And the only reason this is now appearing again at 227 is because of True's fault, where he gave me permission around this time to write multiple reflections if I had multiple thoughts that popped up from a book. And this particular thought, hell, we talk about this all the time still. And I was like, look, man, I got to do a reflection on this one because it's something that's ingrained into my head at this point in time. And when I first started the first reflection, I had a rule of one book, one reflection. And I was like, screw that. I learned a lot. Sometimes I learn
Mm.
multiple things from one book. So anyways, that's why it's appearing now, because I gave myself permission to keep writing and get these thoughts out of my head. But if you just a quick recap, if you guys don't remember what The Alchemist is, I know, True, you've read it. So, have you read The Alchemist?
I read it a while ago. It would be a cool book to read again.
Yeah, no, I love this book. I mean, it's an awesome
I mean,
story about.
you have read the book because you went through the quest.
Well, that wasn't a part of the quest. That was the first book that we did for the pre-quest. We just started recommending it to people like, hey, you're getting ready to start in a couple weeks. Like, maybe check out this book, The Alchemist. I never made anybody ever read The Alchemist. We didn't ever make anybody do anything, but we never made that a part of the quest necessarily. Hey, this is where it starts. It was more of like, if you're waiting to start with your cohort or whatever, check this book out. You know what I mean? But as it is, anyway, The Alchemist is about Santiago, the Andalusian shepherd boy who yearns of travel in search of worldly treasures, and he leaves his home looking for his personal legend and ends up, I'm not going to spoil the whole story, but that's the story, right? That's what it's about. It's kind of like a fable, I guess. I loved it, learned a lot from it, but this particular reflection is about don't forget to take in the castle. So start this one off with a little story from The Alchemist. That was kind of paraphrasing it a little bit. A shopkeeper's son was sent to learn the secret of happiness from the wisest man in the world. When the boy arrived at the wise man's castle, he waited 2 hours to finally meet the wise man. When he got a chance to talk to him, he said, I've been waiting for 2 hours and I'd love to learn about the secret of happiness. So the wise man said, I'm a little busy right now. Why don't you go take a tour around the castle for a couple hours and come back to me and I'll tell you the secret of happiness. He sends the boy on his way. And as he's leaving, he goes, oh, hang on a second. Gives him a spoon and he fills it up with oil. And he's like, do me a favor, when you come back, bring this spoon back with all the oil on it. So the boy goes and walks around the castle for 2 hours. He's concentrating on the spoon the whole time and making sure that he doesn't drop any oil. He comes back to the wise man in 2 hours and he has all the oil on the spoon and he's back and he was like, hey, I did it. I came back. I'm here to learn about the secret of happiness. And the wise man says, well, great to see you. Did you get a chance to take in the whole castle while you walked around and enjoy all the tapestries and the beautiful artwork and all that other stuff? It's a pretty magnificent castle, isn't it? And the boy was like, well, I didn't look. I was too busy worried about not dropping the oil. And he goes, well, do me a favor. Go take another lap around for another couple hours and take in all the castle and come back. So the boy walks around the castle again. He comes back 2 hours later. And this time when he returns, he only has half the oil left on the spoon. And the wise man asks him, what'd you think of the castle? And the boy was like, this was amazing. It was great to see it all. He was like, but I didn't get a chance to, I dropped some of the oil on the way around because I wasn't paying attention to it. And he goes, well, that is the secret of happiness, is to make sure that you take in all the wonders of the world at the same time as not dropping the oil on the spoon, right? So that this story was something that's always stuck in my head because it happens regularly where I will remember this and recall this story as I'm like, especially like, on a run or something like that in the mornings. And it's like really hot in the summertime and I'm like miserable and I'm sweating and sweat's coming down to my eyes. It's 90 degrees outside or something like that. I'm alone. I'm on a trail, and all I'm thinking about is getting back home and just checking the box for the day, getting done with my workout and moving on. Right. And then something every once in a while, this story just pops in my mind and I stop and I'm like, oh yeah, remember taking the castle, you idiot. And so I'll end up looking around, and I'll see like the beautiful tree lined, walk that I'm on, marvel at like, some of the structures that I'm running by in the park near my house or something like that. I'll take in the cool breeze, that does like, cool you down a little bit. And then I realize I'm not alone too, because I'm always on these runs with my daughter. And I realize how beautiful everything is around me. And before I know it, I'm back at home and I had a great run. And the run transformed from something that was completely meaningless to something that was incredibly meaningful and something that I find a ton of joy in and something that just magically transformed from something I didn't want to do to something that I look forward to doing every single day, spending time with my daughter and finding more meaning in the stuff that I'm doing. So this is what I think about a lot, I guess, all the time. The story, I'm reminded of the story all the time. Whenever I'm doing some stupid shit, that I don't want to have to do. Then I think about making sure to remind yourself to take in the castle and see, like, I mean, this world's just freaking beautiful, and it's just awesome, all the stuff that we've done can do. And I guess that's the secret to happiness, right? Per the wise man, don't forget to look up every once in a while and remember what it's all about. It's not just about carrying the spoon and getting done with shit. It's, take it all in. So that's the reflection for the day. The question is, are you too focused on not dropping the oil sometimes? And how can you remind yourself to look up every now and then and take in the castle and soak in the beauty of the world? And yeah, I'll let you guys take it from there. Would love to get your thoughts.
Tree, what do you think?
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. It is spelled out right there. It's a secret because we just talked about this before we got onto this recording. Life, right? You don't want to just go to a destination. To me, life is a collection of events. Life is a collection of stories. So imagine if I have my life, I was born, I have maybe a magical wand or remote control, and I can fast forward my life until I'm 70 or 80 or whatever, and I'm on deathbed. Man, that's my destination. So if you don't take in the events that you happens to come across, then how can you summarize to me what your life is about? Tell me about your life. Your life is a collection of events. Because if you don't take in the scenery and the majestic of the castle, you are focused on getting to the destination. You're getting on to some kind of a place, some kind of a stage, a phase of your life. So if you think about, hey, I'm going to skip all of these experiences and I'm just going to magically appear at another stage. Fast forward, however you want to say it. You can close your eyes, put your head in the sand, and wait until you see 70. That's your destination. You got there. But what is your life? I mean, your life, can you tell me about your life? So it's like, hey, I'm taking a vacation. I'm going to, let's say I'm going to Cancun. Oh, I go to Cancun. I flew there and flew back. If you ask me, how was my trip? I went there and went back. I don't want anything. It's like, I mean, you think about it. Yeah. So every time I ask you, hey, how was your trip to Florida? How was your trip to this place, that place? Or, oh, I've seen this, I've seen that. Oh, I see this interesting person, this interesting event, is whatever. This is what life is about. Because if you ask anyone about their life, they're going to tell you the events that they have encountered. And so to me, that's the secret of life, and a very straightforward. This is book spells it out. I mean, that's not much I can say. But the point is, what do you do in transitioning from point A to point B?
And it's why are you doing it too? It's connecting to the here and now. Like, because we can get so damn focused on just carrying, like you said, going from point A to point B and carrying the oil, and like I was laughing to myself as you were talking about some of those trips and things like that. You saw me yesterday, right? When I was talking to you about the rise and reign of mammals. Fucking ecstatic about that book. Like I mean, I learned so much shit from that book, and the journey of learning it was like just one roller coaster ride after another of like, oh, whoa, huh, that's insane. No way. Like, I mean, I was like hanging on every edge and I loved it. Like, I mean, or I could have told you, yeah, I read a book. I mean, it was, it was about mammals.
It's about, the histories of mammals. Like, oh,
right.
Okay. I mean, that's a point. Yeah. It's not about, oh, I went there. Oh, I did that. Right. But what happened? Like, oh, something happened. Oh, there is this nice pool. This is nice castle. This is, a bunch of people. This is nice culture or whatever. This is the events that you encounter. And to me, that's what life is about. And if you say, hey, what is Chris, right? Who is Chris? Then you have certain events. Hey, I'm this person. I came across this and encountered this. This is my experience. You are a collection of experiences. You are a collection of stories. You are a collection of events. And all the events is what you want to remember, is who you are, is what you remember. Because if you don't remember, I mean, it doesn't have you have no interest in it, right? And if you don't focus on the here and now, then anything that you can recall, it's pretty much an illusion. You're projecting everything else. Like a lot of time when you go to work, right? and you would drive home, you won't notice if you do that on a regular basis. You don't notice anything. You're
Like,
in your own mind projecting
zap
to
out
be somewhere
and,
else.
right.
You miss everything. Even if there's some kind of event that happens there, you're probably gonna miss it. If I ask you, did you stop by a light at that street or this cross section? What was the color of the car right next to you? You won't know because you didn't pay attention to it.
There's that really famous study. I don't know if you've heard about that one with the gorilla. And they're like, I think it was count how many passes or something like that. And then the gorilla runs in the middle of it. And then they ask, I forget what the final stats are. The majority of everybody doesn't see the gorilla. I'll look it up. Well, Snow, I'd love to get your thoughts though. I'll look it up while Snow's sharing here.
Well, you can multitask?
Yeah, I mean, not multitasking, but I'm going to look up, gorilla, how many gorilla statistics.
Yeah, if you aren't enjoying the process, then what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Exactly.
And yet, like, I think, like Chris, you alluded to, yeah, we can all find ourselves in that trap, whether, like, oh, I want to just get done with this run so then I can go do this and that. And it just makes me chuckle because, yeah, like Tree was saying, like, what if you just, like, had a remote control in your hand, like, all right, I'm just going to fast forward to, like, I get off the plane. All right, I'm going to fast forward till we get to there. I mean, who's to say what's the right way to live life, but it almost prolongs the enjoyment though if you do try to enjoy every moment, but also not every moment's going to be enjoyable though. I mean,
right, I agree.
Well, that's where you have the freedom to choose, because if you completely ignored it, you didn't have a choice in the first place. Because like in the example of the gorilla example that Chris referring to is, we didn't notice that there was a gorilla in the video, because we are focused on so much on something. We didn't even get a chance to say, well, I decided to want to watch the gorilla instead of counting.
Yeah. Right. So I've definitely seen this.
There's a fucking gorilla.
I don't understand how someone could not see the gorilla though.
It says 50% of the people, over half of the people that watch this video miss the gorilla.
Yeah. But I don't know, it made me want to reread that Alchemist book. I did forget that story in that book. I mean, we should just try to experience every moment just for whatever it is. I mean, I think Free would even say there's kind of nothing to say, that is kind of some wisdom to life. Try to stay focused on not messing things up, but enjoy what's going on around you. Yeah,
So
that's it.
But I think it's more than just that, though. It's both, right? Like, we still need to get from point A to point B. I still want to go and do like this every single night with True, and I still want to keep progressing and building on what we're doing in Club and E in the future and all that other stuff. But like, I want to enjoy every one of these conversations with you guys along the way, right? I could easily just be like, oh, I got to go check the box with our convo tonight, But like, this is when you get to enjoy, like, your values, like, this is like when you get to actually consume your values is when now.
But and one thing I just noticed for myself though is like, well, when are you too attached to an idea, because I mean, we also get in a habit of just doing things, and at what point are we too attached to it that we're like actually almost like, like I talked about before, like we're almost like addicted to it to a fault where like it's somehow getting in the way of our life or in the way of our human connections or something that we're making. So I guess I just wonder about that.
That's a good question. When is the right time to fire somebody?
The right time to fire somebody is when they aren't able to fulfill on the commitments or fulfill on the expectations that you've made explicit to them that are necessary for them to keep their job.
I'm sure. I mean, if that's what you want to do.
I don't know.
That sounds very technical. I mean, it's kind of a joke, but like the right time to fire somebody is probably the first time you think about firing them, because for whatever reason you lost confidence in them and you're like, I don't think they can do it.
To fail expectations.
I mean, it's to what you said, Snow, of like, they didn't do what they said they were going to do, and they let you down. Whatever that was, integrity was maybe one of your values, or something. I don't know. Whatever.
When's the right time to leave your girlfriend? The first time it comes up in your head?
I mean, maybe.
There's no right answer. There's no right answer right there. That's totally gray area.
Well, I guess the point of what I was getting, the reason why I was even bringing that up is because you were saying, well, you can't be so addicted to stuff. I agree with you. Like, if look, I think if True and I, said this isn't fun anymore, this isn't what we want to do anymore, like we wouldn't do it. Like, I don't think that either one of us would have any problem saying like, we're not able to bring out our values in this conversation anymore. We're not getting anything out of this. Let's shift our focus back to something else in which we could apply ourselves. I mean, we've done that. How many times have we done that? On how many different stupid projects have I brought you? And maybe we spend a day on it. And we're like, yeah, this isn't fun. Yeah, I mean, like
I like that.
We even do like these meetups, and I told Chris, look, this ain't working.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a great example. You know, the meetup groups that we used to host, right? I so badly wanted that to work because I liked it. Like I did like, you know, the idea of it, right? And every once in a while we got a little bit out of it, but it was like 1 out of every 10, you know, things. And it was always just such a time suck. It would take us away from doing other stuff. It wasn't bringing more people into Clubany at all necessarily. And honestly, like the right time for me that I should have shut that down was the first time that we were both like, I don't want to do this week. You know, let's just do it. I would tell Drew like, oh, let's give it 1 more week, see what happens. I think I said that for like 3 months straight. I don't know what I was hanging on to. I mean, even a part of me now, every once in a while on a Thursday or whatever, and I'll think like, man, the anti-library thing was kind of fun. You know, the anti-book club was kind of fun. But like, we're kind of doing that right now. Like, I mean, I'd rather do it with you two than with, you know, with other random people that never show up. And one dude was like playing with a dildo one time or whatever, you know, and we're like, what the fuck is this? You know, like we're not gonna like it was so far out of what like trust me, I didn't want to see that castle anymore. Like I mean, I think it was clear like that castle was not the castle that I was enjoying, you know, and or true, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is, when I was doing the meetup, I was feeling like I'm running for trains, and to me, I'm misaligned with what I want. And so I guess the feeling that you get kind of saying, hey, I don't really safe and comfortable with doing these kind of things, even though I don't really give a shit. Yeah, I don't want to run for trains for anyone. It's like if people shows up and they have, you know, good books and whatnot to recommend, it's great. But at the same time, I'm not getting any people with great books. So for the most part, I'm not getting any values. And for me, is to go to that place, my expectations are not very enthused. I wasn't enthused about going to the meeting because every single time we have like 10 people sign up and like 2 people shows up and they just drop off. And then what's the point? Just don't come. I mean, what? And to me, is the expectation for my expectation for the meetup, it just starts to dive in terms of what I think, you know, would be fun and would be positive are things that, you know, it's a waste of time. And so I think, you know, at some point, your alignment will change based on whether you get enough of it or not enough of it, right? If you still have room for it, then you're gonna have the feelings of wanting it. If you are basically full of it, then you say, hey, I think we have enough with this and we can move on to the next thing. But I think having the attachment could be both good and bad, and depending on how you are aligned with it and how you think it aligns with what you want to be. Because a lot of times, I think, you know, for me, like you say, certain people who want to do certain things, and if I were to do whatever it is I like to do, I don't mind missing out on other stuff, right? And so in life, for me, it's not about to experience a little bit of everything. I want to experience a lot of this thing that I like, if that makes sense. So if I'm saying, well, if I found something that gives me this fulfillment, this gives this feeling, then I think I want to do more of it, regardless of what people say about, you know, let's say I like fishing, and I can say, hey, I'm wasting time, you know, just put my line down and just wait there, or just, you know, do whatever I want to do, relax, whatever. That isn't the point, but the thing is, that's what I want. And so I want to do more of it. So it's basically, hey, my True could be addicted to fishing, but isn't it too much attached? Depending on whose perspective you're looking at. Because rather than being, you know, maybe you want me to go run a marathon and go cross country. Well, I don't like to run cross country. So for me, I shouldn't have to experience a little bit of everything if I don't like most of the stuff that you think, you know, people should be experiencing in life. And so I think having some sort of a balance in the reference of that person, it's good. Because like for me, I like to be 80% at peace and 20% with new things. So I don't like to have surprises. I like to have predictability. So my days are pretty predictable. If you could throw something in, then you got to give me like, you know, at least a day or 2 days to kind of figure out where I'm going to fit it into the schedule. If that's the case, it's okay. But you bombard me a bunch of meetings, whatever. my day is completely havoc. I would get anxiety just because, that's not something I'm used to, or not something I can handle based on my kind of personality. And so I think having the attachment to something that really aligns and you think that is aligned is good. But at the same time, sometimes people mistake the need for something and like, hey, I'm going to eat the frogs, I'm going to rise, grind, repeat, and the hustling and whatever as this purpose or this goal or this whatever. And some people mistook that belief and took it to the core and do it the wrong way, even though say, hey, I must endure if I want to become successful. And to me, it's like people say, nothing. To me, this one thing. I think people take it, and I think it's common sense, but I don't buy into it because people say, anything worthwhile is not easy. When they say anything is worthwhile, it's not easy, right? For me, in the beginning, it makes sense, but when I think about it, if it's worthwhile to you and you align with it, it should be easy for you.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be hard.
I mean, like
you're talking about, like, let's say Einstein, right? He does all his equations. To him, it's easy.
Is cheese making it hard for you, Snow?
Parts of it, yeah.
But hard in a good way or hard in a bad way? I mean, when you think about making cheese, do you go, this is gonna suck, or do you think this is gonna be fun?
No.
Right, playing tennis, there's challenging things going on a run. There's challenging things, but when you think about it, it doesn't take a negative perspective.
Just anything, it has some good things and some bad things about it.
But it has to be more
majority,
positive
like
than negative, right?
the good things outweigh the bad things, though.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my point, is the good thing has to outweigh the bad thing, because you want to be the majority of the time have the good things in order for you to continue doing that. It make it worthwhile. And I think having an alignment makes it more easy, more good than bad. And I think that's what I'm saying is, people in today's society, and probably in past too, all these gurus and the personal development coaches out there, they get onto the, you have to sacrifice to get what you want. You have to trade this and that. You have to hustle and bustle to make it, to be successful. You have to, you have to eat the frog first. I mean, you go look at all the self-help books out there. This is basically the gist of what they say. You got to do the hard things first. I mean, there's a lot of books out there. I mean, we talked through many episodes regarding, eating the frog, regarding, like, turning frustration to fascination. That's what we talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
The point is, people say you want to tackle the hardest thing first, meaning you want to take the most challenging and you want to be challenged. You go, pick your most painful moments and use that as a drive. And to me, that's what people are trying to, kind of like preach to you. But I think it's not always the case. A lot of times, if you find the right alignment for you, it should be more good than bad. Therefore, it should be more easy than hard. There are going to be challenges, but the percent of challenges is going to be less than the easy peasy pieces.
Yeah, I think here's a thought around that thought is, maybe we'll call
thoughts on thoughts.
Let's not forget about the castle in this whole equation, right? It could be an ugly ass fucking castle. Like, you could take a look around and go, this castle's fucking broke ass shit. I'm in a ghetto castle or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so when you take a look at the castle, maybe it's just a shitty castle, and you're like, I don't like this castle.
Looking at
it doesn't appeal. It doesn't appeal to me. You know what? Here's your spoon bag. I don't want to do anything in this castle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take in the castle and you're like, oh, it's a pretty beautiful castle, and I enjoy this castle. I'm gonna try to figure out how to navigate through it and still do my stuff to be able to stay in it. I can stay in it. There could be a second part of this story, is what I'm getting at. He goes to the wise man's castle and he takes a look around, and I don't know. It's like every room is boarded up, and there's like the windows are broken out. Like you know what I mean? Like it could totally be the opposite of that. Like, okay, here's the second story of how to be the happiest person. If you find yourself in a place that's ugly as hell and you don't like it, get the fuck out.
You get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking a little bit about, like, the only thing we really have is our attention, though, and what we decide to put our attention to, and whether you're a seedling trying to grasp for light, or, my attention to hearing you guys talk. It's like, I'm going to probably keep giving my attention as long as I'm getting something from it. But if, I don't know, some teeny bopper girl is on and just starts talking about something really bland that is whatever, not interesting to me, then I'm not going to start giving my attention, because I'm really not getting anything from it. I mean, it makes sense for our brain, like evolutionary, to like want to give attention to things that are like nurturing to us or helping us get resources or helping us feel comfort or just whatever the good chemicals that we get. I just say it's been thinking about that a little bit lately, just how like, yeah, we're gonna give things attention that we feel like are good for us.
Yeah, the neural pathways that we have in our brain, like we actually they're like grooves and like channels and stuff like that, I guess. And like as you start to learn and grow, that neural pathway will take hold and expand and grow, right? But all the other ones aren't necessarily firing everywhere. We're like mining out one of those neural pathways when we do stuff that we really, really like. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're agreeing with you. We're wired when we find something that we really like. It's like, oh, yeah, let's go. Let's keep going deeper down that, and we'll just exclude all the other stuff, you know.
The neural pathway, you have a positive feedback.
Yes.
So whenever you have those emotions, like good emotions and bad emotions also does it. Bored emotion doesn't. Like emotion that doesn't relate to you at all. Because the thing is, when you have something that's painful, it's like, because human nature in itself wants to pay attention to things that's beneficial to us. Meaning, hey, I'm not gonna die. That's also beneficial. Meaning, like, so that's why the fear emotion is also pretty strong. Whenever it evokes the emotion, the connection, the neural connection, is strengthened very much. It probably strengthened twice as much as a positive connection. The connection that gives you like this bored feeling has zero weight. It doesn't even register, and you forget them and you ignore them. But like I said, when you're talking about the focus and attention, I think human nature's currency is attention. And when we pay attention, we want to get something that's of equal value in return from our perspective. So that means you don't want to pay attention to anything, right? You pay attention to something that you think is worth it to pay that to get back the benefit. So whether that's a beautiful castle, because you look at an ugly castle, it's not giving you the equivalent value in return of your attention. So to me, when you pay attention, right, you have to pay for something it's worth in equal value to you back.
You're paying with your time.
I mean, your time's
your time is currency.
That's everything.
Like I said, you don't want to spend like $100,000 on a piece of napkin, right? It's not worth it. So we want to pay attention to the things that we think or we see has value based on who we are. Because some people may not like cars or houses, so their values and things will be different.
And we want to make it more beautiful.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and you want to make it more beautiful too. Like if I'm walking through a castle all the time, like eventually I'm just gonna be like, oh, I can make this like even prettier. You know what I mean? Like, and then that's when you get like really excited about it, and you start to put your spoon down nicely and go to work. Like use your own creativity on.
I mean, let's say there are thousands of castles, but if you come across a castle you like, you can spend more time in it. You say, well, there's a castle in my presence, a castle far away. It's like a bird in the hand is worth twice the birds in the bush or something like that.
Isn't that exactly what the story of the Alchemist is about at the end of the day? I mean, like he goes far and wide to seek his personal legend, only to realize the treasure was always there right back at home anyway, and he could be happy wherever he wants to be, I mean, like that's the whole, but you have to go through the journey to figure that out, right? And the journey is a part of the fun, but at the same time, it was always there. You just had to figure out a way to be able to see it.
But the treasure has no value unless he went through the journey.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because the thing is, he went through the journey. He experienced, he come across different people and experienced different things, and that's what makes the story a story that is worth listening to. Because you think about if he just basically said, "Oh, I have this money, I have this treasure." Well, this treasure is nothing more than just an object. Has no context, right? Has no context. So sometimes you like, maybe you like your favorite mug or your favorite hat or whatever it is. Why do you like that hat? It's the same hat as millions of other hats, but because that hat has a story. Maybe you use it to go play tennis, and you some kind of event happened to you while you have that hat, whatever. That's what life is about.
I got this in Hawaii on Luca's first trip. So, and it gives me good joy memories.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not an object. Because I can pick up a piece of gold, but I have no idea what to do with it. It doesn't mean anything to me, right? But if I were able to use that piece of gold and to create more experiences for myself, then that piece of gold has some value. Yeah. The value is about the experience I will have with other people. Because I asked Chris this many times before, if you make $1 trillion a year, one constraint is you can't tell anyone and you can't spend it because people are gonna know, is it worth it? It's not, because that's not what you want. You want this relationship with other people. So the money or the things you want to get, it is so that you can use that to garner the relationship, to garner the experiences and the memories. That's who we are. We are not just a destination. We are collections of stories.
Great.
Because for me, is I am me because of all the things I've done in my life and other things happens to me. Chris is Chris because of the other thing that happens to him. I mean, I came from Vietnam, right? I was, running from houses to houses trying to dodge the commie, right? That's me, but that's just a story. But if you tell me, hey, True, tell me about your life, right? Tell me about who you are. Well, this is, and when I do this, these shapes who I am, what I think, and how I think. And then when I came to America, and then I have a different perspective. I've seen this, I've seen that. That makes me who I am because these things happen to me. If you erase all the memories, then I'm no different than you or anyone who is memories wiped. I'm no one, nothing. It's just a piece of a thing that has it's a shell, has no meaning.
It actually reminds me of that book, A Brave New World. Have you guys ever read that? It's like this dystopian future where everybody takes this drug called Soma and it makes them all really happy. It's basically almost like a low grade heroin, but it keeps them in this suspended state of happiness all the time, but they don't do anything. All they do is sit around all day long and take Soma and clog up their mind. And true to your point, it's like they're literally like almost personality-less. I mean, they're just like, here, have some more Soma, have some more Soma, just take some more Soma, do this, like, drown it all away. It's like, you want to be you, you want to go experience stuff.
But that's the point though. I mean, the point is like that new brave new world doesn't exist because it doesn't work that way. It has to have a constant transition. You can't say, well, take this drug and be happy, because you take that drug, it becomes equilibrium. That level is the new normal, when the new nothing, the new zero. To be happy, you got to move up,
Right.
up.
Well, I think we have like those good natural systems. You're going to stop producing some serotonin and you'll feel bad and you'll start producing. I think it's kind of unique how it has natural cycles to it so that we can still feel just as good by not necessarily having a lot of inputs, as long as they don't try to just keep taking some Soma all the time or something like that.
I mean, you think about the river, right? The point of the river is the water flow. If the water doesn't flow, isn't a river. It's just a stagnant pool of water.
It's a swamp. I mean, it's what a swamp is a river that didn't go anywhere, right? Like it just pooled up, and it's gross and stagnant. I mean, I guess stuff can live in the swamp, but who wants to be?
Yeah, algae does live in the swamp, I think.
So yeah, but it's no good.
So kind of to maybe for a final question here. So what do you guys, what is your oil, and what do you need to, or what are you going to give your attention to sort of this week so that you enjoy both so you take care of the oil and enjoy the castle, but give it in some context.
Oh, mine's easy. I mean, this is what this whole journey I've been writing about this whole entire journey. It's living for two with my daughter. It's finding that time to find my values in the stuff that I'm doing. Because when I do that with her, I find a flow state when I'm doing that kind of stuff. And when I find that flow state, it's like spending time with her for me. It's something that we can always spend time with. So if I find myself not enjoying those things, I immediately stop them at this point in time. I actually think your question you asked earlier was a really smart question. Like, when's the first time to break up with your girlfriends? Probably when you seriously want to break up with your girlfriend the first time, I think you should quit the shit. There's a reason why it repels you in some way, shape, or form, I've never thought about divorcing my wife. True, have you ever thought about divorcing your wife, ever? I haven't either. I've never even once considered divorcing my wife. And probably the day that I do, now that we're having this conversation, I'll probably remember this and I'll go, well, if that day comes, then, I mean, it's only downhill from there, right? So I mean, for me, when I find myself not being able to spend that time with my daughter and those value driven flow states of things that I like to do, I know when we do that stuff, nothing but great things happen, and I'm still able to stay connected with her. Stories like this happen, where we're 27 podcasts into a 365 book reflection tour of things that we learn every single day and talking to great people and enjoying life, right? I know I'm on the right path because these are compounding effect things that happen that way. So like, it's easy for me now to figure out where to give my attention to and where to not. Does that answer your question?
No, it does. It does. I mean, it because I mean, you have such a kind of a habitual pattern between like your values and your habits, and I mean, in the sense, if you're on a treadmill in a way of just like you know what you like to do and you do it. And just for the record too, I'm not thinking about breaking up with my girlfriend. That was just like a
Yeah.
random.
No,
I haven't thought about it. I haven't thought about
but
it.
I do actually think that's a really good point. I think it's anything you're doing, man. Like the first time that you like ever thought about wanting to not be a teacher anymore, you probably shouldn't be a teacher. You know what I mean?
It's
But,
limit,
but
right?
I think within that role, I try to change things up, and I'm not saying I'm doing it right, but I do because I do agree with like the people, whether in the self-help books, can talk about like perseverance and persistence. Because like for me to become an organic vegetable farmer, which has been a goal of mine, I'm kind of like actually like, actually kind of wrote it down. That's my goal. It's like, but I know I don't want to be that in the normal market because of economic pressures and just from experience. But if I can become that through our school, even though at times it's hard and sometimes I'm having to do too much admin work or whatever, but it's like each year it's like getting more and more closer towards that though.
That's
I'm saying
perfect
like, fuck
because
it, I'm done.
that's
Yeah.
perfect because I hate working for companies because I know what we're capable of doing on our own and what we want to get to. But the only reason why I'm working at the company that I work at right now is because I get to build culture. I get to do Club and Light in this company where somebody's supporting it. And I know that is what I'm doing. That outweighs the bad of all the other shit that I had to do at this point in time. The moment that those scales tip, I'll go figure out how to go do this stuff again in another place and modify that to continue on down the stream that I want to go down. But to your point, like that's the perfect thing of what you should do. That is going downhill. That is the art of running downhill. That is going downstream. You took what you already had and you found ways to bring out your values.
Because I also can't change how much teachers make. That's why I'm also getting into real estate. I do think teaching is a good thing to do or has a good cause as long as I can balance myself and have some agency in my job. I do like giving advice to young people. It's rewarding. I feel like I have something to give. But I don't think I'm going to be able to make $80,000-$90,000 doing it. So with real estate, how can I end up accruing wealth that way and still teaching and doing my farming thing?
That's essentially your castle view and the oil. I mean, the oil is real estate. You have to do this so that you can do the things that, it brings you fulfillment. Just like for Chris, it's like he played tennis, right? But he pays to play tennis. It doesn't pay him to play tennis, but he wants to play tennis. So he goes to work for a company so that he can play tennis, right? So it's that spoonful of oil. You have duties so that it allows you to walk around the castle. You can't just walk around the castle and do nothing. While you're doing the duties, you admire the views of the castle, right? And so for you, Snow, you love teaching, and teaching, if you try to take teaching as a need or a duty, as then it becomes kind of like jumble up together, and it's harder to tell, hey, I don't like this view of the castle. But if you say, hey, teaching, yes, I like to teach, or I like to grow vegetable, and I am at a negative in the reds because I have to buy extra, let's say you buy organic soil, and you buy the roots stimulator and watering and all these things, and you go and you sell the produce, and it doesn't make enough money to even pay for the cost. You are at a loss. But the thing is, you do it because you want to, because that gives you an experience that you want. Just like Chris, he does it. People doesn't pay him to go play tennis. He plays tennis. He goes and pays the court fees and the racket stringing and equipment and the machine that shoots the ball. And so he actually spend money. He's in the red, but he has to carry the spoon at other job where he can say, well, this spoon allows me to walk around the castle so that I can see the views. But if I didn't have a spoonful of oil to walk around, I wasn't carrying out a duty. Who's gonna let me walk around a castle?
It was funny. I feel like I'm like, I don't love teaching though. I mean, it's like I love being, or I like giving advice. I think underneath it all, I always just consider myself just a philosopher going through life. We're all these little journeyman. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, sometimes
I love helping people solve problems. Is what I love to do. That's what I love to do. Honestly, that's what sales is. I love helping people solve problems. Yeah. No, I mean, but that's what you just said is important because that's really the underlying code of the values of what you really care about. Why you find any joy at all in teaching. But like the tips of the scales may have tipped at one point in time in one way because of pay, because of the shit you have to deal with the school bureaucracy. Like maybe your students don't maybe you don't even like the way that schooling is run, you know, where you're like, I can't even give advice. All I'm doing is just preaching from a book or something like that, you know, that I don't even agree with. So those are when the scales tip for me, when it's like, clearly this is a shitty looking castle at this point in time. I can go do my other stuff that I can go do. You could do what you just said, Snow, of giving advice and having conversations like this and being a philosopher in a jillion different ways.
Advise?
Absolutely.
Don't need to teach anyone.
You could be a guidance counselor. You could be a psychologist. You could be an author.
Would I get summers off? Would I be able to stay around today? Yeah, but
you got to balance the scales. You know?
Or you just go speak, you know, just like Simon Sinek. That's what he does. He just give people advices.
Well, my barometer test would be: are you running downhill, meaning do the scales tip where you're going downhill, or does the scales tip where you're running uphill? If you're running uphill, then fucking quit. Like if you're running downhill, then it's fine.
Running downhill hurts my knees. I like running uphill because I feel like I get some more endorphins that way.
You don't like running downhill?
No, I don't.
Oh my god, man, that's my favorite ever.
I usually do like running uphill.
Well, that's interesting. What, you really like running uphill is running downhill for you? I mean, it doesn't have to be a literal thing, but like if running uphill is what you like, then run up the fucking hill. Any final thoughts from anybody? I feel like we're probably at the end here.
I think we're good on this one.
Awesome. Any final thoughts from you guys, or we can wrap?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You should be more present to be able to decide if that's something you want to pay attention to or not. If you are too busy carrying the oil, you didn't even get an opportunity to decide whether that, hey, you know, I should take a look at this majestic castle. And I think that's a shame because it removes the choice. You don't even get to decide whether, hey, you know, I can take a peek or no.
So Look Up. You guys remember that movie, Don't Look Up? You guys heard of that one? You know, the one that was on Netflix is hilarious because there's like a fucking asteroid coming like straight up, like, you know, everybody can see.
There's no asteroid. Don't look up.
Don't look up. And now there's like political chanting, like, don't look up. Don't look up. That's what I want you to do. And they're like, we're gonna die. Everybody, just look up. It's coming right at us.
No, don't look up.
So anyway, I was gonna say my final thought would be look up, you know, and decide whether or not there's an asteroid coming at you or whether you like the night sky. Thanks everybody for joining, and we will see you all tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Good night.